Melton. Pauls. Palermo. Festerson. Harding. Jerem. Mr. President.
Here. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for our invocation today by Councilmember Brinker Harding. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks everyone for coming down and joining us today. I think in our busy lives, all too often, we don't take a moment of just quiet reflection and think about all the advantages we have and the opportunities we have being citizens of Omaha. So I would like to ask you to indulge me and take a few moments then to reflect on some of those privileges we have and what a great community we live in. Thank you.
An affidavit of publication is on file for the pre-council and city council meeting, and a current copy of the Open Meeting Act is posted in a white binder on the east wall of the legislative chambers.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this city council meeting today. The council thanks you for joining us today. As a courtesy to those in attendance, we would ask you to turn off or mute any of your electronic devices. Madam Clerk.
Items 6 to 8 relate to the same project and can be considered together for South Farm Replat 1, located northwest of 144th and Pine Streets. Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval. Item 6, a resolution to approve the preliminary plat for South Farm Replat 1. Item 7, a resolution to approve the final plat for South Farm Replat 1. Item 8, a resolution to approve an amendment to the South Farm Replat 1 subdivision agreement.
Public hearing on agenda items numbers 6 through 8 are today. Proponents, please.
Joe Flaxbeard, 14710 West Dodge Road, on behalf of the applicant. Really, this replat is the result of some coordination with Public Works. Had to do with replatting some right-of-way to meet a design curve for the design speed of Applied Parkway. I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Moved and seconded to approve items 6 through 8. There are no lights. Roll call.
Melton. Yes. Pauls. Yes. Palermo. Yes. Festerson.
Yes.
Harding.
Yes.
Jerem.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Items 6 to 8 are approved, 7 to 0. Item 9, an ordinance to amend the boundaries of the ACI-2 Area of Civic Importance Overlay District to incorporate into that district the property located northwest of 84th Street and Indian Hills Drive. Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval.
Public hearing on agenda item number 9 is today. Proponents, please.
Hi, Troy Meyerson, 409 South 17th Street. On behalf of the applicant, here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Mr. Harding.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm not going to make the motion to approve since part of this is in Councilman Jerem's district, I believe. But I think part of it is in mine too. With the walkway, it spans our two, so. In the, well, we can do it together, but thanks.
Thank you. There's no more lights. Is there a motion?
Second.
I was moving second. You didn't move it.
I move it. I'll second.
We're going to get through this. It's been moved and seconded to approve item 9. There are no further lights. Roll call.
Melton. Yes. Pauls. Yes. Palermo. Yes. Festerson.
Yes.
Harding. Yes. Jerem.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Item 9 is approved, 7 to 0. Item 10, an ordinance to rezone property located at 1708 Sailor Street from GI District to R5 District. Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval.
Public hearing on agenda item number 10 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, are there any opponents? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Second, no lights. Roll call.
Melton. Pauls. Yes. Palermo. Yes. Festerson.
Yes.
Harding. Yes. Jerem.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Item 10 is approved, 7 to 0. Item 11, an ordinance to rezone property located at 1103 South 22nd Street from GI District to R5 District. Planning Board and Planning Department recommend denial of a request to rezone the property to R7, but recommend approval of rezoning to R5.
Public hearing, agenda item number 11 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, are there any opponents? Seeing none, public hearing is closed.
Move to approve to allow rezoning to R5.
Moved and seconded
It's written
It's
as
written.
rezoned to R5, yeah.
rezone to R5, okay. No further lights, roll call on item 11.
Melton. Pauls. Palermo. Festerson. Harding. Jerem.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Item 11 is approved, 7-0. Item 12, an ordinance to rezone property located at 13126 North 42nd Street from DR District and R1 District, large lot, to R1 District. Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval. B is communication opposition. C is amendment of the whole requested by Councilmember Festerson.
Public hearing, agenda item number 12 is today. Proponents, please.
I'm here on behalf of the owners to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Name and address?
Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Kim Brady. My address is 13724 Camden Avenue.
Thank you. Any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard?
Dorothy Poland, 13030 North 47th Street. Reasons why I am opposed to it and the neighbors are opposed to it. One, we live in a very environmentally fragile area. We want to keep that area that way. We have low soils, ravines, native prairies, and streams. We also are underneath the North Hills environmental overlay, which wants to safeguard the area. There's concerns is that area is primarily developmental reserve, and they are wanting to take a DR and add it to an R1 and zone it R1. We want to say DR, developmental reserve, for the intent of what the area is. I think it sets a poor precedence for the future, and the proponent at the planning board meeting said they had no opposition to have it being zoned developmental reserve. And I also have people that are within city and county government that agree that it should be developmental reserve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, do you wish any rebuttal time at all, just a minute or two?
I think the only important thing to know about it is their intention is to keep it natural the way it is and use it to graze their horses. They have no plans to develop it in any way as far as any structures or anything like that. That's one of the reasons why they like the area out there, is all of the natural beauty that it has.
Okay.
I think that's all I have.
All right. Thank you. With that, we close the public hearing. Mr. Festerson.
Thanks, Mr. President. So I've fielded a number of inquiries on this property and this application. It's actually outside the city, just north of my district, but obviously within the city's planning jurisdiction. And it is an environmentally sensitive part of the city, the environmental hills overlay that we like to keep an eye on. So I think what we have here is a situation that can be resolved in a way that makes everyone happy. And so I did file an amendment to, rather than taking the split zoning to R1, to keep it as DR, which is Amendment C on number 12. And I think it allows the applicant to do what they want to do, but then also addresses the concerns of the surrounding neighbors that it remain DR and not have that designation changed. Mr. Fanslaw, we talked about this in pre-council this morning. Did I characterize that accurately, and is the planning department okay with that resolution?
Yeah, Dave Fanslaw, City Planning. Yeah, absolutely, it's an acceptable alternative.
I know it's acceptable to Ms. Poland and the neighbors, and Ms. Brady, it sounds like it's acceptable to you too on behalf of the applicant? I think her head is nodding that it would allow you to proceed. Just keeps your entire property DR, but you can still accomplish the combined zoning. Yeah, okay, that's great. So I would move Amendment C and remind the council members it would take 5 votes to approve that. Thank you.
Second. Moved and seconded to approve Amendment C in item 12. No further lights. Roll call.
Melton. Pauls. Palermo. Festerson.
Yes.
Harding. Jerem.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed, 7-0. Item 13, an ordinance to amend the boundaries of the MCC overlay district to incorporate into that district the property located at 5645 North 90th Street. Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval.
Public hearing on agenda item number 13 is today. Proponents, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Jeff Elliott with Woodsonia Real Estate here to represent the applicants, Newquest Investment Company and Walton Street Capital. Really, the reason for this request is for what this ownership group is doing for this shopping center in North Omaha. They're infusing approximately $3.5 million to upgrade the shopping center. They're resurfacing the parking lot. They're upgrading the landscaping. They're putting new LED lighting in and putting a brand new facade on the front of the shopping center. And with those improvements, we've been able to attract two fairly major tenants, one of those being Altitude Trampoline, which requires a special use permit for their type of use, which is indoor sports. And so with that request to the planning department, they've asked us to put an MCC overlay over the shopping center, which we're happy to do. And so with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Mr. Festerson.
Thanks, Mr. President. I'm supportive of this item, too. I know this is an area just kind of between my district and Councilmember Melton's district. I hear a lot about it from my residents in Keystone who are concerned in the respect they want to make sure it remains a viable commercial center for them, and the Bakers remains as a good operator there and a resource for them as a grocery store. So pleased to see the reinvestment, and thank you for that. Can you describe kind of the timeline you're thinking and when this will all occur?
The work has begun. These two tenants are planning to start doing their tenant improvements here in the next 30 days. I'd say they will be in by the end of the year. With the improvements that we're doing, the new facade will be done by November 1st. And with these new improvements that are being done, we're seeing a lot of activity come to the shopping center. Just point out here, many of the small tenant spaces that are vacant here, we're getting activity and interest in the center. And so the landscaping's been done, the parking lot has been done, LED lighting's been installed. So I'd say by the end of the year, if you go out there, it's going to look a whole lot different. And it's really exciting to see what happens when you do invest in these shopping centers that need some revitalization.
Yeah. Thank you for that, and it'd be great to see it fully occupied again.
Exactly.
Thanks. No motion to approve.
Moved and seconded to approve item 13. There are no further lights. Roll call.
Melton. Pauls. Palermo. Festerson.
Yes.
Harding. Jerem.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Item 13 is approved, 7-0. Item 14, an application to consider a Class C liquor license for FTW Inc., doing business as Grover Inn, located at 3505 South 42nd Street.
Public hearing on agenda item number 14 is today. Proponents, please.
Gary Mangiamelli, 3505 South 42nd Street, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Mr. Palermo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Mangiamelli, I guess just a note, or maybe better yet, just a recommendation. With your location, you have an OPS school, which is literally a hop, skip, and a jump away.
Yes.
And get to know the principal, the staff. I know those kids as they cross 42nd Street, that overpass is literally at your front door.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have or not, but if you haven't, do it. It'll definitely benefit the area and
Absolutely.
the kids.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Lights? Move to approve.
Moved and seconded to approve item 14. There are no lights. Roll call.
Melton. Pauls. Palermo. Festerson.
Yes.
Harding. Jerem.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Item 14 is approved, 7-0. Items 15 and 16 can be considered together. Applications to consider a Class I and E liquor license for GTI Management Group, LLC, doing business as Burger M, located at 225 North 12th Street, number 130.
Public hearing on agenda items numbers 15 and 16 are today. Proponents, please.
Good morning. Michael Leon, 2804 South 87th. I'm here with the owner, manager, Ian McShane, and he's prepared to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you.
You bet.
Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, public hearing is closed.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve items 15 and 16. There are no lights. Roll call.
Melton. Pauls. Palermo. Festerson.
Yes.
Harding. Jerem.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Items 15 and 16 are approved, 7-0. Consent agenda. Any member of the city council may cause any item placed on the consent agenda to be removed. Items removed from the consent agenda shall be taken up by the city council immediately following the consent agenda in the order in which they were removed unless otherwise provided by the city council rules of order.
The public hearing on agenda items numbers 17 through 25 were held on September 25th, 2018. Moved and seconded to approve items 17 through 25. There are no lights. Roll call.
Melton. Pauls. Palermo. Festerson.
Yes.
Harding. Jerem.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed, 7-0.
Public hearing on agenda items numbers 26 through 31 are today. If you wish to address the council regarding these items, please come to the microphone, indicate the agenda item number you wish to address, identify yourself by your name, address, who you represent, and if you are a proponent or an opponent.
Austin Rouser, Omaha Public Works, here as a proponent of item number 27 to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Any other proponents or opponents? Seeing none, public hearing is closed.
Move to approve.
Second, roll call.
Melton. Pauls. Palermo. Festerson.
Yes.
Harding. Jerem.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed, 7-0. Item 32, an ordinance to acquire private property for the purpose of constructing the 78th Street Mercy Road to Pacific Street project.
Public hearing agenda item number 32 is today. Proponents, please.
Oh, there.
Oh, this,
with
that
the
was the
public
vote.
hearing, yep.
This is the final vote, final reading. 32 is
Just
vote
need a
today.
motion and a second.
Motion and a second.
Move to approve.
Second, roll call.
Melton. Pauls. Palermo. Festerson.
Pass.
Harding. Jerem.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Festerson.
Pass.
Councilmember Festerson, passed due to a potential conflict of interest. Item 32 is approved, 6-0. Item 33, an ordinance providing for the designation of an enhanced employment area, the levy of a general business occupation tax for Blackstone.
Move to approve.
Second. Just moved and seconded to approve item 33. There are no lights. Roll call.
Melton. Pauls. Palermo. Festerson.
Yes.
Harding. Jerem.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Item 33 is approved, 6-1. Item 34, an ordinance approving a redevelopment and tax increment financing redevelopment and occupation tax agreement with BSHO LLC to implement the Blackstone Hotel Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project Plan located at 302 South 36th Street in an amount up to $7,807,000. A's and amendment of the whole requested by the Law Department.
Move A.
Second, roll call.
Melton. Pauls. Palermo. Festerson.
Yes.
Harding. Jerem.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
The amendment is approved, 7-0. Item 35, an ordinance authorizing and directing the issue of bonds to be termed various purpose and refunding bonds, Series 2018A, and general obligation refunding bonds, taxable Series 2018B, in the aggregate principal amount of not to exceed $75,500,000. A's and amendment of the whole requested by the Finance Department.
Vote. The vote is today. Is there a motion and a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve item, amendment A. Is that what we want?
Amendment of the whole.
Amendment of the whole? Okay. Okay, it's moved and seconded to approve item 35, the amendment of the whole. Roll call.
Melton. Pauls. Palermo. Festerson.
Yes.
Harding. Jerem.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed, 7-0. Item 36, an ordinance awarding a contract to Cone Inc. for elevator maintenance at various city facilities throughout the city of Omaha with an estimated annual cost of $24,900 for a one-year term with up to 4 one-year renewals.
Public hearing on agenda item number 36 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, are there any opponents? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Next item.
Item 37, an ordinance approving agreements with Excella Inc. to provide services to the Planning Department, Fire Department, and Public Works Department for ongoing use of a permit processing and inspection management system.
Public hearing on agenda item number 37 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, are there any opponents? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Next item.
Item 38, an ordinance authorizing and providing for the issue of bonds to be termed Special Tax Revenue Redevelopment Bonds, Series 2018A, and Special Tax Revenue Redevelopment Bonds, Taxable Series 2018B, in the aggregate principal amount of not to exceed $10 million.
Public hearing on agenda item number 38 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, are there any opponents? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Next item.
Non-action items, items 39 through 55, do not require public hearing or city council consideration at this meeting, but will be placed on a future agenda for public hearing and/or vote. The reason for non-action is noted after the item on the agenda, as well as the date the item is expected to appear on an agenda for consideration. We have closed session.
Yeah, we have closed session, but they're not here yet, are they? Or are they here?
They're on
I
their
would
way.
make a motion to go into executive session for purposes of discussing labor negotiations only.
Moved and seconded to go into executive session to discuss labor negotiations only. Roll call.
Melton. Pauls. Palermo. Festerson.
Yes.
Harding. Jerem.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0. Closed session at 2:21. was so cold in there. I was like, oh my God.
Motion to come out of executive
Yeah,
session?
can you just state for the record that
Okay.
the only item discussed?
I will restate for the record that the only item discussed in our executive session was labor negotiations.
Motion and a second.
Is there a motion to come out of executive session? And a second? Roll call.
Melton. Pauls. Palermo. Festerson.
Yes.
Harding. Jerem.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion
adjourned.
passed 7-0.
Motion adjourned.
Motion adjourned.
Second, roll call.
Melton. Pauls. Palermo. Festerson.
Yes.
Harding. Jerem.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0. Meeting is adjourned at 3:08.